Hi folks, welcome back to the Horde. So, about 2:20 p.m., 28.9 degrees Celsius, 48% humidity. You can see here, the sun's no longer on my panels there, so I'm not fully charged. It is August 4th, Tuesday, 83.5 degrees Fahrenheit. So guys, how about an instructional video? I haven't done one of these in a while, trying to get better at working with one hand, right? So let me show you. The subject of this video will be the Baja Warrior, and I told you I bought this bike and I was riding it and was spraying gas on my leg, and gas on the leg is not a good thing. Could lead to small little problems like you catch fire and the bike catches fire and then you got to start all over again. So here's the Baja Warrior engine, 6.5 horsepower and all that. One of the places it seemed to like to leak was right on top here, right around this seal, and I think you can kind of see something wicking up there. At least, of course, this is not going to cooperate. If you look down at the seam, you kind of see something in there, particularly right there, kind of oozing out of the seam a little bit. What I did is I used some of this old-fashioned high-tech gasket seal, Permatex. Kind of smells like shoe polish. So I undid these two screws, 1, 2, and took this assembly out of there, made sure it was clean. The gasket surface where the gasket was going to seal was clean, and just painted it up, tightened this back down, and we're hoping that takes care of leak number 1. Leak number 2 we talked about was the carburetor, the bowl on the carburetor, or the float wasn't sealing, so that's leak number 2. And I'm just going to go through this so you guys could see how to get the gas tank off of this rig. It's not obvious. Let's pretend the whole engine's put together, which means there would be 2 bolts here. This slides right off when you take out the 2 bolts really hard. Put it aside so it doesn't get into trouble. This piece here lifts right up. If you don't lift it right up and off, you'll drop it on the floor and lose it and be cranky. To get the gas tank out, you got to remove and loosen up a few different things. I already loosened these bolts, so they're only hand tight. Here's one. Number 2. So now this linkage is loose. To get the tank out, the gas tank has 3 bolts. This one, right, and once again it's loose, so I've already done this, but I'm just demonstrating for the purposes of illustration. So, and you can see it's kind of a long guy. Then these 2 nice cap bolts here. 1, 2. I'm trying to do all of this in less than 15 minutes. Alright, so those are loose. I'm just kind of lift the tank right out. Right, and I already got the gas line loose. So, I told you there were 3 leaks. Don't want to disappoint you. Leak 1 on top, leak 2 the carburetor, and here's leak 3. Right here. This is where the gas is. I think this is leak 3. So I already loosened this up. And when I loosened it up, this area around here was really kind of trashy. So I put a rag in there so none of the grit would go down, and then used a little emery cloth to clean it up. So can see how nice and clean that is. And this is the other piece. This obviously screws in there. I don't know how well you can see. Down where my thumbnail is, that really wasn't great, that area. So I went and I got an O-ring to put into that. What did I do with my O-ring kit? Oh, here's my O-ring kit. So I wanted an O-ring that was relatively thin, that would fit pretty tight around this. So that looks about the right size. So I'm going to put that on here. Right. Then I'm going to put a little of this Teflon tape around the threads. And I'm going to put it all back together again. Put my finger on the end of it, move it about, and hopefully it stops leaking. Yeah, because I looked around here, around where this, let's call it, this nut is soldered to the tank or brazed to the tank, and it looks solid. So I just think that he pulled this off because it was dirty, and there's quite a bit of crap in the tank. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this to you. Else I don't want to be spilling gas all over, because there is still a little gas in here. I don't know, could you guys could see there's still quite a few particles in the tank, so I also got to rinse it out and get those out of there, right? No use cleaning everything up and then having it go to heck because one's too lazy to rinse the tank out. This is the gas filter they use. It's actually part of the bottom of the tank. So anyway, I'll get that all cleaned up. So hopefully once these three things are done, my leaks out of the gas tank will be over. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know how one wants to look at it, I don't have the carburetor, so I can't swap the carb yet. I just doesn't my camera's doing the upside down thing again. There we go. I can't swap that out. One of the other things I would do, one of the things I've discovered, generally speaking, the spark plugs that come with a lot of the China stuff you get, not very good, especially the ones for the two-strokers. Must be on the other side. Anyway, take my word for it. Underneath this plastic right here is one of those two-stroke generators, one of those $99 wonders from Harbor. Those guys there, they really, the spark plugs they put into them, really shaky. I suggest changing them out right away. And no matter what, if you're going to own a generator, right, you're going to invest, I don't know, $300, $400, $500 in a generator. How dumb is it to not own a spare spark plug? Even if you're spending $99 on one of those Harbor Freight generators, how dumb is it not to go through the trouble of picking up a couple of spark plugs, you know, for I don't know, $5 each, whatever they cost. It could be the difference between you sitting there with the lights on or the lights off. Alright, this video I showed you guys how to get the gas tank off, basically 3 bolts, but before you can get the gas tank off you have to get the linkage for the carburetor off, which basically tells you cannot get that gas tank off unless you really get the engine out of the bike. Earlier this morning I took the engine out of the bike. I showed you it was 4 bolts that secure the engine. 1 bolt secures the I guess I'm going to call it the gear reduction drive there to the body. So yeah, to the lower frame. So basically 5 bolts, the engine's loose, you got the throttle cable, a couple of wires, and all is good. You're ready. The engine comes right off. You can have the engine off in less than a half hour. Once the engine is off, then the gas tank, you take those 2 front bolts off, take the bolts to the carburetor air filter off, take another 3 bolts out, your gas tank's off, so you can fool around with that and go forward. Unfortunately, I can't show you a running video of this thing probably until Saturday, Sunday, whenever. It depends when the carb gets here, because I'm gonna bolt the new carb to it. I'm not gonna mess around with this one. So with this, hopefully when I put it all back together again, my gas leaks are done, and that'll make me happy. Hopefully it makes you guys thrilled to death too. So hopefully, once again, my gas leaks are done, and it's just a matter of smashing the carb on there whenever it comes in and putting this thing back together again and running it. This should hopefully be a running bike really, really soon. Folks, I want to thank you all for watching and commenting and subscribing. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your head up, and remember, get out there and enjoy all your days. Bye now.